Hey, hello everyone. Hi, I'm Fred Cochran, and I'm here at San Joaquin County Office of Education. I'm a coordinator for continuous improvement and support, and I'm hosting today our very first UDL Facebook Live Chat for all of you who are a part of our UDL network. So I'm really excited, a little nervous because I've never done this before. So give me grace, I know you will. And hopefully we will get through some resources today to kind of get ourselves started with going back to where we are and how you're doing with your UDL journey. So you probably know I've been on a UDL journey for a long time, and I try to live UDL every day, and I am so excited that I get to share my experiences with all of you. Um, so you have access to comments, and if you are on the call, you can add comments and or questions as we go. I know that depending upon your situation where you are right now, you might only be able to listen in, and that's okay. Whatever works best for you. So today is August I think it's the 17th, right? It's the third Wednesday of the month, and if you think about the third Wednesdays of the month from now on throughout through May, that will be our Facebook Live time from 3:30 to 4:30. So I promise that each month will be a little different, kind of carry a different theme. Should have some guests with me so that we can get different perspectives around universal design for learning. And as you probably already know, or if you've been looking at Facebook today, I have been posting like crazy, more than I think I ever have in my life. So I posted a lot of resources that I'm going to talk about today. For one way of thinking of posting it in advance was helpful for me because then I didn't have to worry about dragging in things into the comments, and so I figured if everything is in the postings already, then there's an explanation and you can know what is actually there. So want to start with kind of an opener, a way of thinking about us as adults and the kids we teach. Sometimes we call that an optimistic opening. So I was thinking about this today, and I always like to make reference to the guidelines whenever I am starting out with an opening. And one thing that makes me feel good, and I hope it makes you feel good too, is a good laugh, a good smile, a good chuckle. What that does for us, releases endorphins and makes us feel better and kind of takes away some stress temporarily, maybe. So I thought I'd start with a riddle today. And it's just a kind of a short one to get us started. So picture this. A teacher is, in front of her class. She's teaching a lesson. She worked very hard to prepare. And all of a sudden, she's distracted by a student. And this is their conversation. Teacher says, "Why are you talking during my lesson?" Looking at the student sternly, and the student looks back and says, "Why are you teaching during my conversation?" I thought that was kind of cute. So I might be laughing to myself right now, but I think it is it's fun to just kind of think about humor and how it makes us feel. I'm going to read to you a little bit about humor in the classroom because I think it's a good way to start off. So there have been numerous studies that have shown that puzzles and riddles can be a really brilliant way to involve students in a topic. Not only does this force the student to be an active rather than passive listener, but also working with riddles can improve the effectiveness of the overall learning environment. as these sorts of problems require a variety of skills and bring new meaning to abstract concepts. So a riddle is defined as a question or statement intentionally phrased as to require ingenuity in ascertaining its answer or meaning. Meaning riddles can help students to understand complex concepts because they tend to be worded in a way that relates to real life situations. Additionally, in order to solve them, students are required to draw on and sharpen their critical thinking skills. So for me, that's some new learning today. I love humor, but I never really thought of it this way. And so I just thought I would share that with you. And then I decided, well, you know what? If I'm going to talk about this, I should be able to cite it in the guidelines, right? So having an environment where it's safe to share some humor in the classroom could be under access, minimizing threats and distractions. It could also be a way under the build row here of fostering collaboration and community, and maybe under self-regulation. This could be facilitates personal coping skills and strategies, promote expectations, belief that optimize motivation. Motivation, all right, that says it, right? If you can start to find ways to connect life to the guidelines, you're starting off in a great place, because once it becomes part of what makes sense, I think it makes sense to model that for your students. That's just Fred speaking, but that's something that I wanted to share with all of you today. Today I'm not sure we'll be online for a full hour, but I would like to kind of talk about where UDL is going right now and the work that we're doing. So we know we've been through a horrible last couple of years, just trying to stay focused on our work. We're exhausted. It's been trying on all of us. My heart goes out to all of you, and I respect and admire the hard work you all do. And on our end of things, it's just trying to meet everybody where they are and providing support just in time to help out, because we know that time is such a precious commodity. We don't have enough time. We never have enough time. And so being able to have opportunities to learn in a kind of a little time capsule, a little way of finding ways to capture some good learning in short little chunks. So gave me an idea this summer. I said, well, I've done a lot of professional development around universal design for learning, and I love it, of course. I loved working with my colleagues. Lisa Bowman and I did a lot of work together on universal design for learning, and it made me grow as a presenter, and has helped me to kind of set my foundations around universal design for learning. So I started thinking about it this summer, and I said, I'd like to look at approaching adult learning a little bit differently. So in conversations I've had with colleagues here, we talk about the fact that teachers, we think, appreciate having the messaging that comes across to them as being very concise and clear and easy to grab onto and take with you. Just kind of let me hear it, let me process it, and let me try it out, right? Instead of this long, when am I going to get to the point kind of PD, which I never do, right? So anyway, so I thought about, well, why don't I start chunking the UDL modules that we have done and just kind of freshen them up and give them a kind of a new look, and think about ways that I could not obligate somebody to come to me live for a hour or half hour, 90 minutes, but letting you have a way of addressing engaging, I should say, in resources around universal design for learning that would be manageable. So these mini modules, and the link is in the Facebook today. I added lots of links, but there's a link around our connecting the dots with UDL. And module 1 is broken up into 4 parts. The first part, I'm going to call them, they are called 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Each one is designed to be about a 15-minute recording that I've done. The first one is, what is UDL? So if you say, I already know what that is, then you might want to go to module 1B, which is barriers are in the design. So it features all about the foundation. One of the first foundational concepts of UDL is around barriers. So that module's around that topic. And if you say, well, I'm good on that, or maybe I do need a refresher, I can go there and I can listen to Fred, or I can actually look at the slides that are done, so I can just breeze through the slides and look at the videos that are posted there. The third 1C is about learner variability. I can never do that enough. Learning a lot about our human connection with people and how we're all unique and special. You remember the analogy we use about no two brains are alike, and the brains are like fingerprints, and none of them are the same. We talk about that there's no such thing as average. So you might want to engage there. And if you said, well, you know what, I may do that, and then I'm going to look forward to the last one of this series, which is module 1D, which is all about expert learning. And the goal of UDL is that expert learners are purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, and strategic and goal-directed. So that session's all around expert learners, very important. All 3 of these, or 4 of these modules really capture the kind of the groundwork to get started with universal design for learning. There's also, I should say, within the Padlet that everything's stored in, there are videos, there are articles that support what is discussed in each of these mini modules. So it's been really strategic, not just putting stuff out there, but really connecting it to the topics that are covered in the modules themselves. Then there is also an area for chatting, and there is a Padlet within a Padlet. So if you're familiar with Padlets, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. If you're not, it's very easy getting involved in Padlets, and they're, I think, a great visual resource for to display information. I'm a very visual learner. I love it. I'd love to be able to tap and see exactly what I want to look at. But I did add a Padlet within a Padlet so that you can go in and chat about it. Hey, something I observed here, or I have a question about this slide, or why are you saying this when I think this? This is a platform for us to share and engage in and have our voice around universal design for learning. I'm not. It's not a one-way approach, or it's not me telling you how to do this. It's how you internalize all of this and make this your own. So your journey will be a little different than the other person's, your neighbor's journey. You know, we'll all be on a different journey, different course, and different ways that we find our expertise here. What's coming up, which I'm really excited about, because I have a deadline now, for next month to do module 2, which will be broken up into 4 sections again. The first section will be on UDL and social emotional learning, and doing a crosswalk with that. If you've attended any of our modules in the past, you know we've done that, but I think the module will really connect the dots with social emotional learning. We also have a crosswalk that we're going to do for the next module 2B, which will be UDL and equity. So a crosswalk with UDL and equity. And in case you didn't know, the UDL guidelines are being being revised, changed up, calling out race and equity a little more than it is now. Well, I should say a lot more than it is now. You can find it if you look deeply into the guidelines, but it's going to be called out in so that you don't have to hunt around for it, right? The next session we're going to do, 2C, is going to be about UDL and assessment. And then 2D will be around UDL and lesson design. So your suggestions and your feedback will be very valuable for me and for any of my colleagues that help me here in our offices here to be sure that we're providing what you need. So now you know a little bit about the modules. You're welcome to share them with others. None of the information is copyrighted. You don't need to worry about that. We just want you to have a different way of looking at the information. So one little thing I am going to tell you what I learned about. I developed these in a graphic program called Canva, and what I noticed when I was doing my recordings is that in my presentations I had a few videos that are added to the slides. I don't play the videos during the recording because you can't record over a recording, so the format doesn't work that way. But what I did find out is that you can pause me speaking. There's a little pause button at the bottom. You can pause me as I'm talking in the corner of the slide and click on the video, and the video's live. So you can actually pause me and play the video, stop the video, go back and listen to me again if you want to. So that was one little thing that I learned doing this, and so anyway, I'd love your feedback to know how these little mini modules are, how they help you. You can listen to them. You don't have to actually watch the slides. You can just listen if you want. And speaking of listening, something else I did this summer was I started my first UDL podcast. So I did add that to the posting today, and it is on Podbean. That's where my first landing for this podcast is, and it's also in Google Podcasts and in Apple iTunes. I'm not sure how long it takes to appear there, but I know I got the okay on that. Really exciting to do some work around universal design for learning with podcasting, and I'd love your feedback on that as well. So please let me know what you think. And if you ever want to be a guest with me on a podcast, let me know and we'll work that out. I'd love to get your perspective on how things are going with you, and we can definitely do some podcasting together. So I don't see any questions coming through. I know there might be a few of you on the call, but I am just looking to see, and I don't see anything right now, which is okay. I understand that. The Facebook Live is recorded, so it'll be posted on our UDL Facebook group, so you can always go back to it if you want to listen to me again, or you need some quiet time with Fred, right? Just kidding. Other things that I wanted you to know about, because there's lots of good events coming up. One that I'm been involved with for the last 4 years is the California UDL Network. That is on our posting today. I added it today. You can register for these. There are 3 network calls throughout the year, and there's a registration for them. They're free of charge. And what we do is myself and Orange County Department of Education, we co-facilitate these network calls, and we have educators, teachers, paraprofessionals, district administrators, county office folks from throughout the state that listen in and gather information about universal design for learning. The idea behind the network is to because everyone not everyone but lots of county offices are doing little bits of universal design for learning, and the whole idea was to come together and share those resources to make the job a little bit easier. So it's been really exciting work to do that. We spotlight schools and county offices or districts during our call, and they just kind of tell their story because we learn from our stories. And so I hope you will see if you can join us and register anyway. If you can't make it, because then you'll have access to the recording. And I think they're pretty good. The other thing that has grown from all of this work is that I'm on a committee state with other folks throughout the state, and we're kind of building the UDL Coalition. So just as you may be very familiar with PBIS Coalition, we're in the works of creating and developing a UDL coalition for the state of California. So we're getting close. We almost have our procedures ready. We're going to be voting on them next month, and you may be the first ones to know about it, but we're moving the dial, and we're trying to get everyone in the state involved in universal design for learning, because we know that this is where we need to be in order to offer access for all students. That strong Tier 1 instruction that every student deserves. And so, the journey is still on the journey, but we're going to get there. So I wanted you to know about that. And it's something else I know I've shared this in the past in the posting, but I never really verbalized it. There is an organization called Supporting Inclusive Practices. For short, they're called SIP. And the website is SIP, I think it's sipinclusion.org. But the link is in the postings today. And the grant is very generous, and they are offering access to Katie Novak's UDL courses, which, if you've ever looked at any of the courses offered by Novak Education, they come with a price tag. Not terribly expensive, but still, it's a cost. And through the generosity of the SIP grant, they are offering free tuition for these courses. I just completed mine finally. I had signed up for UDL and professional learning communities, because that's a lot of the work. I do work connecting with so many different areas, and professional learning communities is really the PLC work is really important, and UDL fits in perfectly with that, because we want our students to be expert learners. If we want our students to be expert learners in our PLC work, then why not be looking at universal design for learning as the framework to support learning for all students? So I did go through the course. It didn't take me terribly long to do, but what's really wonderful about the course, I think, is if you're trying to accrue units, you can actually purchase a unit, and I believe Teachers College is one of the colleges that is providing the unit for a cost, of course, and as long as you get approval from your district to gain units, great opportunity. There's a project involved, because a unit requires 15 hours of study time or projects or sitting and listening, whatever that combination is. But one unit usually equates to 15 hours. So the project is, depending upon what the course you're taking, will be really worthwhile for you, I think. So, love to hear your feedback on that, but don't miss the opportunity because it's free and Katie Novak's stuff is fabulous. She gets an A+ in my book as far as really being so motivating and such a great resource for universal design for learning. So, wanted you to be aware of that. And I see a couple of comments, so let's see if I can actually see these. Looking forward to more great discussions. Thanks, Melanie. Angela, thanks. UDL guidelines have changed my thinking around teaching and learning. It is a game changer. Thank you, Angela. It is a game changer. And, I guess you can tell by my voice that I truly believe in that. Just hang on for me a second because I'm running out of battery. That would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? So thanks for, and Kaylin Hill, this was a great first. Oh, thank you very much for that. I'm kind of getting into my own skin here, and I'm kind of liking this concept. I thought, oh my gosh, how am I ever gonna pull this off? But yeah, this is really exciting work. So if I know that you have comments, then I know that I did hit record and is actually happening. So that makes me feel really good too. I know we're starting out small, and that doesn't bother me because that's how you grow a network. And I do have a good feeling that this network is going to grow. I'm going to be doing work with new teachers that are clearing their preliminary credentials. And kind of supporting those practicum supervisors or the coaches that are coaching teachers through their to clear their credentials, and UDL is what they've asked me to support. So I think we're going to start gathering a bigger audience. And as I said before, there is, since these are recorded, you can watch it and then add comments along the way, and I'll be checking back to see, for feedback. Angel, I also love what you just posted. Even everyday life experiences are perceived differently through the expert guidelines. And that is so true. I mean, I never really thought of that I would ever take the guidelines and be able to really, well, I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that I know them so well now that I'm really able to connect them to everyday life. The podcast that I did for my first podcast is called the UDL Diner. And this comes from a training that I did with Rhonda Marriott from Orange County Department of Education. She is the lead for, one of the leads, or the lead manager, I should say, for MTSS, which stands for the Multi-Tiered System of Support. And I'm heavily involved in that grant work, but she and I partner a lot on Universal Design for Learning. We've co-presented at different conferences, and our theme last July was in Anaheim, and our theme was the UDL Diner. And we use the diner analogy to promote the concept that when we go to a diner, we have choice, right? We have a choice. We have a menu. We can choose what we like or what we want to pick to nourish ourselves because we know what we gravitate towards, and we try to make that same connection between a real life scenario and the guidelines themselves. And so we were dressed up in our bistro aprons. We had our logo, which it says the UDL Diner, where the choice is yours. And Rhonda and I had so much fun developing this that I decided, you know what, there's a story here. So I wrote a script, and and we developed a menu, of course, for the training. But I wrote a script about it, and that's the theme of my first podcast. It's called the UDL Diner, and so I hope you will listen to it and give me feedback on that. My goal is to have a new podcast every month, and it will definitely connect real life with universal design for learning. So excited about that. It's going to make the year fun. Like I started off with today, we got to have some fun, right? We have to find opportunities to smile and laugh and share good stories with each other. Um, Looking back at comments, if there's anything else. Uh, yeah, you might want to check out our UDL diner. You will. It was so much fun to put together. Um, so I've talked about a few things, and I really do appreciate your attention in looking at the resources that I've shared today. Um, Another resource that is there, and you may already know about it, is the UDL Live Binder. I've been using Live Binder for quite a while. It's a digital binder that where you can actually view different resources centered around universal design for learning. Sorry about uh, my notifications are coming through. Um, so we built this, or I built the whole idea around the binder to just have a way of offering resources. It's been shared all over the place. I have presented it at conferences, um, even at an international online conference. So I got a lot of viewers. A lot of people are looking at it, and a lot of people are adding it to their agendas for meetings. So I hope you'll take a look at it. If I were able to share my screen today, I would go through the binder, but I'm still checking out the logistics of Facebook Live, and I don't want to um, share a screen and then cut everybody off when I stop the share. So I'm still learning about Facebook Live, but so far so good. Um, do you have some questions for me? Because I've shared the live binder with you. Are there any bright spots that you want to share? Some glimmers of hope, some challenges, how you're integrating UDL, or what you might need. Okay. All right. So I think we've covered probably enough to, in 30 minutes, that's probably my attention span right now. And I think I don't want to overload you. I think I've given you a lot of topics to think about today. Um, but I want you to share with colleagues, say, hey, guess what? I'm in a UDL network. As long as you're in the profession and you are serious about universal design for learning, or even if you're not serious yet, but you're curious about it, ask them to join our network, and let's build upon our connections. We have about 115 people that are part of our network. Of course, they couldn't all be here today, which is understandable. But along the way, maybe we can touch their lives and provide support that will help implement universal design for learning in their classrooms or in their districts. Open access is an awesome resource, yes. Community discussions are helpful as an educator, right? Um, if we don't know what universal design for learning, I mean, we have to get our feet wet and get going with it, and have our leaders in our schools um, understand universal design for learning so they can promote it throughout their school. um, becomes part of the culture. When it becomes part of the culture, then it's easier to bring the community in on these. This is what we're doing. Any of you who are involved in multi-tier system of support have heard a lot about universal design for learning because, as I said earlier, it is that way of providing access to and strengthening tier one instruction, whereas uh, the guidelines are more a proactive approach. They are a proactive approach um, to providing access for all students rather than a reactive um, process. So, when you're getting into tier two and tier three supports, um, they are they may be temporary supports. Let's hope that so that those temporary supports can be initiated and bring students back into the tier one learning. Differentiation may come into place when you are working with small groups or individuals because there may be a need to do that. But a good tier one instruction doesn't require you preparing a separate lesson for every student. That's not the idea. The idea is go back to the guidelines themselves and look at the first principle of engagement, and look at recruiting interest, and think about how you're engaging your class. Are you providing individual choice and promoting autonomy? Are you optimizing relevance, value, and authenticity? And does that provide a safe place where you minimize threats and distractions? Even there is a great starting point. And if you can um, if you can at least start there and then start thinking about, well, how am I going to provide options for perception? Um, how am I going to display information? I'm going to have uh, alternative ways to provide auditory information or visual information. So that is part of your design of your lesson. Even if you can just start and offer a couple of different ways and see if that works well for you. There are many options. I think through distance learning, we've learned that we really have to figure out ways to engage students, right? And then the guideline for physical action, which is under action expression, vary the methods for students to be able to show mastery of their learning, different ways to respond to their learning. If you can just start with the access row, I think it's a good place to start. Angel had mentioned in the chat, open access is an awesome resource, and I truly believe it is. I work very closely with the uh, Jennifer Betker, who really is the mastermind behind open access. And she and I work closely together on lots of issues around universal design for learning with our county offices. So I'm glad you brought that up, Angel. Open access has a lot of great resources that provide options for inclusion. The SIP website I mentioned earlier, great resources for inclusion. Even we have resources for preschool. I see Melanie Pinto Garcia's on. I know she's involved in preschool. She's been on several of our sessions together. I'm happy she was able to find time to meet with us today. And we've provided lots of different trainings around universal design for learning in the preschool classroom. So there's just a lot of stuff. I could kind of go on and on forever, but I think 40 minutes has been a good amount of time today. I want to just say thank you very much for hanging in there with me today. We'll see what next month. I'll have a plan for you next month, but I just thought today was just kind of let's get acquainted, share it out with people, let them know that there's something going on, and we want to be part of it because it starts small, but it will be like that snowball effect, and will grow, grow, grow. So anyway, I want to again say thank you very much. I want to wish you a very happy evening, and thank UDL. And anytime a question comes up, you can reach me. I'm going to drop in my email address. And if any of you ever have a need to want to just reach out to me, please do that. It's jacochran@sjcoe.net, and I would love to hear from you. So again, thank you everyone, and I will sign off, and I will see you the third Wednesday of September at 3:30 in the afternoon. So tell your friends, and let's grow the network. You do have to be a member of our Facebook group to participate. So anyway, thanks again everyone, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.